Hi people! Since the first guide on how to solo jump runs as Elemental Shaman, I've done another 30 runs, and I've learned some things and found better ways to deal with the boss fights. So I decided it was time to make an improved guide for you. I chose to use the whole unedited footage of a complete run the way I prefer to do them now, and make use of timestamps. So, if you want me to explain how to kill Hydrospawn for example, check the description and click the Hydrospawn timestamp. This also means there will be some footage where I'm not saying anything. The benefits of using the whole unedited run is that you can see exactly how I do things and get an idea of how long it will take. So, let's get into the improved guide. There are two different ways of getting into Dharmal East. The first one is of course running to the Dharma complex. The issue with this is called World PvP. Having to do a few corpse runs is very common. The other way makes use of the Dharmal East back door entrance. I decided to do a separate video where I show how to do that. The reason for having a separate video is that most of the people who watch this video are probably shamans. Meanwhile, more people could benefit from knowing how to use the back door. So, check the description for a link to that video. I used to skip as much as I could to get to the rich thorium veins as quickly as possible, but I've had a change of mind about that. In my experience, it is worth killing the patrolling stealther satyrs, as they drop a decent amount of silver, sometimes grey items and felcloth. I've even gotten 2 traveler's backpack off of them, but those are very rare. Having the patrols killed also decreases the chance of you dying to one of them taking you by surprise when you're low on health. By the way, that pillar right there, if you mess up but manage to make your way on top of it, the mobs can't reach you, and you might be able to reset them. I've also started killing Hydrospawn. I had to practice some before I got the tactic right, but now I feel pretty sure about it. Hydrospawn has quite a high drop rate on Essence of Water, 14%, and they're worth about 12 gold apiece on my server. She can also drop a weapon selling for 5.5 gold, as well as having a chance of dropping valuable librams and books. I use Mana Spring Totem and Searing Totem on this fight, and try to place them something like this. Keep a distance from yourself to them, as she can use her Geyser ability on them, and if you're unlucky, that could push you into the nearby mobs. Jumping up and down on this ledge will force her to run back and forth. I used Flame Shock when she's coming towards me on top of the ledge. I then jump down and cast a lightning bolt on her, then back up and repeat. Once she hits 50%, she summons 2 adds. Try and get her to 50% in a good position, meaning not in your face, and then use Chain Lightning to kill the adds. Often, that is enough to bring them down. Each hit the adds do to you will push you around, and that's no fun. Once they are dead, just keep going. Killing her takes maybe 1.5 minutes for me. I continue up to Zevrim Thornhoof as per usual. kill the patrols, pick the ghost mushrooms. Speaking of that, I try and pick at least all the mushrooms and trefoils I can. Once at Zevrim, as before, always keep grounding totem up. I start on the edge with 3 lightning bolts, but this time I just move a bit on the edge and keep throwing lightning bolts. I try and hit him as much as I can once he moves back and forth. You can do this because you have grounding totem and don't have to worry the slightest about his sacrifice ability. This method kills him a lot quicker, but you also take somewhat more damage. Basically, it speeds up the fight. I use Flame Shock to keep the dot up, and I try and use the free casts on Earth Shock, and just spam lightning bolts on top of that. I often pop a superior mana potion as well. Once dead, you loot the boss and keep running. If you've killed all the patrols, you don't have to worry about facing a mob while you're low on mana and health. Talk to the treant and then go back to the wall. It's just so much easier to mess things up in the middle, as you are about to see me do. I pull all the flowers by mistake, in case you manage to get yourself upon the broken pillar on the way to Hydrospawn. You can reset the mobs from there, which is what I attempt to do, but fail at. Here is when reincarnation becomes very useful. I live, I die, and I live again. I ank and keep going. Once on the final boss, I used the same totems as before, but this time I'm using grounding totem as well. Grounding absorbs the enervate poisoned, and once 8 seconds have passed, the totems can absorb another spell. The disease ability destroys the totem, however. I begin the fight with 3 rank 4 lightning bolts, then jump down to bring him close enough to flame shock him, and then it's just kiting as usual. 1 lightning bolt on the edge, jump down, 2 lightning bolts when down and then up again. Repeat. Replace grounding and mana spring. Use flame shock once the dot is out. Spend the clear cast on frost shock. Now, as he approaches 52%, don't use any strong abilities. If you were to crit him down below 50%, you would have to die. So, at 52%, kite him all the way into the ledge. Flame shock him, and jump down from the ledge and use Swiftness Potion. Run out of the arena. You can squeeze between the packs here quite easily. Just before you leave the arena, Frost shock him below 50%. Run out of the arena and he will now reset. If you've done this smoothly, you will now be out of combat and he will have resetted and the cave should have been opened. Heal up to full health, wait until all imps have run out of the cave and gathered at the boss. Then jump onto this ledge, aggro them, kite the trash all the way up to you. Jump onto the ledge again and place yourself right above the cave. Make sure to have full health. Once the mobs reset and you leave combat, jump down. Sometimes you aggro another treant the way I do here. That is no problem. Just run inside the cave as quickly you can and start mining. The drop rate of arcane crystals and blue sapphires are very low. 3% for the arcane crystals and 0.7% for the sapphires, and that's per mine and not per vein, by the way. On average, you will get around 10 mines per run. Most of the time you will get 4 hits per vein, and about half the time you will get 3 veins. So on average you should be getting an arcane crystals every 3 to 4 runs, and a sapphire way less. Sometimes you will do 8 runs in a row without getting a single crystals, and very rarely you get as lucky as I did now. This uncertainty with the crystal drops is why you want to kill all the bosses, as that will give you some gold even if you aren't lucky with crystals. By the way, once outside, hurry to make your way out of that cave. If you get ganked too deep in it, you can't reach your corpse and must spirit rest. Now, onto my gear and my talents. I have pretty good gear, a lot of pieces from Molten Core. I use mana per 5 rings and trinkets to keep me from going as quick in fights. As for my talents, I'm 31-0-20, a somewhat PvP oriented spec. The ideal spec for this farm would be something like this. As you can see, there is only a minor difference, and you shouldn't need to change your talents as long as you are elemental. Make sure to have minor speed on your boots, that makes a big difference. Also, As you should have noticed, you need to bring swiftness potions and you should bring greater mana potions at least. So, I hope that this guide will have answered any questions you still had. Otherwise, there is a comment section. Like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you believe gold is nice.